services delivery, there's no money. So who is that person? Don't want South Sudanese citizens to be given their services. Because we believe that the taxes we are collecting supposed to come back as service delivery. Our president must see and must hear from us. There is a problem here. People don't want this country. So people have been marginalized. They don't want citizens to enjoy the fruit of independence. They don't want us to enjoy the fruit of our freedom. So our president must see who are those people who don't want us to enjoy our own life.
Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio News. The headlines. The National Minister of Health has announced that South Sudan will host the 2025 Health Summit in Juba from December 2nd to 5th, aimed at evaluating progress in the sector and building national consensus on improving health outcomes. Trade and Industry Minister Atong Kwol says South Sudan has been urged to accelerate the commitments to digital trade and regional integration during a high-level East African Committee ministerial meeting in Kenya held from 19th to 25th of November. Some gender activists are calling on men to reject gender inequality, promote gender equality, stand as allies to women, and challenge the harmful and toxic practice that preside in society. These stories are more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Digodi Andrew. Now the news in details. The National Minister of Health has announced that South Sudan will host the 2025 Health Summit in Juba from December 2nd to 5th, aimed at evaluating progress in the sector of building national consensus on improving health outcomes. The summit themed Transforming Health System for Equity, Resilience and Impact will bring together leaders and stakeholders from across government, development partners and health sector. Discussions will center on health sector strategic plan 2023-2027 with a focus on identifying gaps and strengthening system nationwide. The gathering comes as South Sudan continues to fall far below the continual target in financing health services. In 2001, Africa Union member state committed to allocating at least 15% of their annual national budgets auto health under Abuja Declaration, a commitment reformed by African leaders as recently as February 2023. However, South Sudan current allocation remain at about 1.3%, far short on the benchmark. She reaffirmed that the ministry commitment to expanding access to quality care, improving governance and ensuring that no South Sudanese is left behind. Health Minister Sarah Kilitiorel thanked President Salva Kiir Mayardit for what she described as his crucial guidance in effortness on strengthening South Sudan health sector. The minister says the summit will also prioritize a strong multi-sectoral coordination to build a robust, efficient and sustainable health system for the country. Health Minister Sarah Kilitio spoke on SSBC yesterday, and she happened to be saying this.
The Ministry of Health is pleased to announce the convening of the Health Summit is scheduled to take place from 2nd to 5th December 2025 in Juba. This high-level summit will bring together leaders and stakeholders from across the country to reflect on the findings of the annual Health Sector Performance Review 2024-2025 and discuss the current state of health in the nation on the way forward for improving health for all South Sudanese. This summit also for shaping the direction of our health sector for years to come. As Minister of Health, I reaffirm our unwavering dedication to expanding access to quality health services.
Trade and Industry Minister Atong Kwol says South Sudan has urged to accelerate its commitments to digital trade and regional integration during a high-level East African Community ministerial meeting in Kenya held from 19th to 25th of November. Atong Kwol was among delegates from the 8 East African region members states attending the 47th meeting of the Sectoral Council on Trade, Industry and Finance and Investment, where progress on previous regional discussion dominated the agenda. Speaking after the trip, the minister said South Sudan was specifically reminded to fulfill obligations related to e-commerce, e-payment system and border digital public services. She stressed that although many areas of discussion fall under customs and finance, and directives issued by the council apply to entire government, not just the Ministry of Trade and Industry. According to the minister, one of the key requirements is development of digital system to store and manage business registration documents. She said that this must be done in collaboration with the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs to ensure secure, proper, organized and easy accessible record. South Sudan was also reminded to fast-track to establishment of its National Trade Facilitation Committee, a body that every other East African region countries has already formed.
And the ministers attended that meeting. It's called 47th meeting of the Sectorial Council on Trade, Industry, Finance and Investment. And when we attended, of course, one of the agenda was the status of implementation of the previous decisions that were made there. The other one was, which is relevant to my ministry because other things were discussed on customs, but the one especially on trade is the issue they are encouraging us to at least involve our country in the digital economy, the e-commerce, the e-payment and other public e-services programs as a Ministry of Trade.
And she added that the International Trade Center is currently supporting the process and helping the government complete the groundwork.
But the directives come to a country, not only individual ministry. They say South Sudan has to do this. So for South Sudan, we are supposed to develop a system for storage of business registration documents. This can be done with consultation with Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, because we know we just do registration, but we need a proper way of ensuring that it is stored where it is accessible and also safe. So they said South Sudan has to do that. The other one is to expedite the formation of National Trade Facilitation Committee. This is very important because all the countries have done it except South Sudan. But for the case of South Sudan, we are being supported by the International Trade Center and they are working on that.
She emphasized that the committee will play a central role in strengthening national trade governance, bringing together institutions from agriculture, finance, health, the Chamber of Commerce, security agencies, and other into a unified advisory body. And the minister described the Kenya meeting as productive and said South Sudan must now move quickly to align with the region digital trade standard in order to participate fully in the growing on East African region market. Elsewhere, some gender activists are calling on men to reject gender inequality, promote gender equality, stand as allies to women, and challenge the harmful and toxic practices and presides in society. Lemmy Thomas, Martin Maluk, and B.L. Chow of the Men for Women organization emphasized the need for all stakeholders to intensify their efforts toward achieving gender equality. Speaking as part of the 16 days of activism against a gender-based violence campaign, they urge people from all walks of life to raise their voices and actively champion gender equality. They stressed that ending sexual and gender-based violence is a collective responsibility. The activists made their remarks on iRadio's John Show today.
As men, we should denounce gender inequality but pronounce gender equality across all levels. Addition to that, as men, we should also be allies to women. Let's get out and challenge the toxic or harmful practices that are in our society.
Women are the foundation and the core of any society, and any practice that harms women and girls should be considered as a national security threat and it should be responded to collectively.
Let us add our voice to the countless voices that are out there that are calling for the prevention and end to gender-based violence. If you're a man, you're a woman, you're a child, you're an adult, please amplify your voice. Do not be silent. If you do not have a platform, or you don't have a space in which you can be able to advocate, please, we have the right channels. Just ask the right people and then they'll be able to direct you. Ending gender-based violence is everyone's responsibility.
You're still listening to iRadio News at 1. The United Nations missions in South Sudan has briefed the governor of Central Equatorial State, Emmanuel Adil, on the closure of its office in Yei. Victor Fesimo, UNMISS Civil Affairs Field Officer, met with the governor this morning in Juba, discussed the operation in the state, including the closure of the Yei office. Mr. Fesimo reassured the governor that the move does not mean the mission is leaving the region. Instead, Yei staff would relocate to the Juba office to continue covering the county.
We also wanted to apprise the governor of the ongoing situation with the UN, especially as relates our drawdown in Yei, which is part of his state. We inform him about the processes leading to the drawdown and how the drawdown will work. We remain committed, as we told the governor, that despite the fact that the Yei office is closing, we are working from Juba to cover Yei. So we are not leaving the state. It's just a closure of one office, but some of the people from Yei will work from Juba and join the people from Juba and continue to work and give the support that we normally give to the state in Yei.
He confirmed that the UNMISS team appreciated the governor's vision and pledged commitment to work in collaborative with the state administration. More than 1,400 candidates are sitting for the National Certificate of Primary Education exams at the Protection of Civilian site in Juba. This according to B. Pechang, a senior exam invigilator at the Male Examination Center. He said 911 boys and 539 girls are sitting for the examination, which began on Monday, are expected to conclude tomorrow. Pechang added that the community is supporting the candidates by providing them with meals during the exam period. He spoke to iRadio this morning and happened to be saying this.
حصلنا في COC elders هنا في community center في COC. نفس الوقت طبعا نحن الوقت الحالي الطلبة والطالبات المرحلة الأساس ممتحنين لنا في COC. طبعا في COC في 5 مركز there is 5 centers هنا في COC. أنا قبيل المراغبين في مركز كامانة. فالناس مبسوطة طبعا الأجواء كويس أجواء محية. all communities شغالين على اساس انه قاعدين يعيدوا الوجبه بتاع الافطار لاطفالهم السب كاونتيز بتاعتهم. فالاجواء هنا متفاعل، يعني الناس كويسين والناس فرحانه والامتحان ماشي كويس، المراقبين برضه مبسوطين، كل شيء ماشي تمام. طبعا في ناس جاوا من الوزاره، طبعا في وفد جاء من الوزاره ومراقبين من الوزاره برضه. طبعا عدد التلاميذ الممتحنين عددهم 1400 طالب وطالبة.
On Monday, Vice President Josephine Lagu Yanga rang the bell to officially launch the end of primary exams at school for over 84,000 pupils across the country. The exams, known as the Certificate of Primary Education, include 5 papers, that's English, language, science, religious education, social studies and mathematics. The exam started with the English language paper and will continue through Friday. And lastly, the Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation has announced that South Sudan will host the 20th Nile Basin Initiative Day in February 2026. James Mowach Makwach made the announcement after a meeting with the Vice President and Chairperson of the Economic Cluster, Dr. James Wani Ige in Juba on Wednesday. Mowach says the event will commemorate the establishment of the Nile Basin Initiative on 22nd of February 1999. He added that the gathering will bring all members of the Nile Council of Ministers to South Sudan for the celebration. Mowach made the remarks on SSBC yesterday, and he said this.
The governor also affirmed the need for the reactivation of what we call the monthly UN engagements, or the monthly coordination and collaboration partners meeting that is slated to take place anytime soon. And he was very thankful for this meeting and assured his support to work very closely with UNMISS in all endeavors for the betterment of the state.
The Nile Basin Council of Ministers is the top decision-making body for the Nile Basin Initiative, which concluded at 10 Nile Basin countries. It sets the strategic direction of the management of the Nile's shares water resources, approves the NBI's work plan and budgets, and provide policy guidance, and the position of the chairperson rotates annually among the members of state and alphabetical order. With this being, we come to an end with the local news. We're going to listen to my colleague Akile Joseph with the international news.
A group of military officers say they have seized control of Guinea-Bissau amid reports that the president Umaru Sissoco Embalo has been arrested. Shortly after gunshots were heard in the capital Bissau, government sources told the BBC that Embalo had been detained. The officers then appeared on state TV saying they had suspended the electoral process as the West African nation awaited the outcome of Sunday's presidential election. Elsewhere, at least 55 people have been killed in a huge fire that engulfed multiple high-rise buildings in Hong Kong, the city's deadliest blaze in more than 70 years. Some residents remain trapped inside the buildings, with more than 270 people unaccounted for. Hundreds of firefighters are tackling the blaze, which is now under control in 4 of the 7 affected buildings at Wang Fu Court. And finally, Pope Leo XIV has arrived in Turkey at the start of the first foreign trip of his papacy, where he will mark an historic Christianity anniversary before heading to Lebanon days after Israeli airstrikes on its capital Beirut. As he traveled to Ankara, the Pope summed up the message of his trip by saying that all men, women, and truly be brothers and sisters in spite of differences, in spite of different religions, in spite of different beliefs. That's all from the Region International Scene.
Thank you so much, Akile. Up next, the news with Moses Darlington for sport.
Thank you so much, Deputy Andrew. Well, in sport, UEFA Champions League updates as Arsenal defeated Bayern Munich 3-1 for the first time in a decade, maintaining a perfect record in the 2025-2026 UEFA Champions League season and topping their group on Wednesday. Kylian Mbappe scored 4 goals as Real Madrid edged out Olympiacos 4-3 in a thrilling Champions League clash. Jose Maria Gimenez scored a last-minute winner as Atletico Madrid ended Inter Milan's perfect start with a 2-1 victory. Tottenham Hotspur suffered their first Champions League defeat of the season, losing 5-3 to holders Paris Saint-Germain at Parc des Princes despite leading twice. And Liverpool continued their struggles with a heavy 4-1 home defeat to PSV Eindhoven in the Champions League. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 40 points to help the Oklahoma City Thunder to a 10th successive NBA win despite being doubtful for the game with illness. Listed as ill on Thunder's injury report, Gilgeous-Alexander starred in a 113-105 victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves in the NBA Cup at Paycom Center. The 27-year-old has registered at least 20 points in 91 consecutive games, the third longest streak in the NBA history. Anthony Edwards recorded 31 points and 8 rebounds for the Timberwolves, who have lost 3 games in a row. Oklahoma is the only 5th team in NBA history to begin a season with 18 wins and 1 defeat, while they have won all 3 NBA Cup games to lead West Group A. And finally, China's world champion long jumper Wang Jianan has been cleared of doping after a review of hospital CCTV footages. Wang, 29-year-old, became the first Asian man to win world long jump gold with his 8.36 meter leap in Oregon in 2022. He failed an out-competing doping test in November 2024, which showed traces of terbutaline, a drug primarily used to treat and prevent breathing problems in patients with asthma. The China Anti-Doping Agency, Shenada, said the presence of the drug had been caused by passive inhalation while Wang was accompanying a relative to hospital for nebulizer treatment. This is all in the world of sport, and back to you, Tico D. Andrew.
Thank you so much, darling Chongno Moses. So with that being, we came to an end with our news at 1. But let's remind ourselves with the headlines. The National Ministry of Health has announced that South Sudan will host the 2025 Health Summit in Juba, December 2nd to 5th, aimed at evaluating progress in the sector and building national consensus on its improving health outcomes. Trade and Industry Minister Atong Kwalmayang says South Sudan has been urged to accelerate its commitment to digital trade and regional integration during a high-level East African Community ministerial meeting in Kenya held from 19th to 25th of November. Some gender activists are calling on men to reject gender inequality, promoting gender equality, stand as allies to women, and challenge the harmful and toxic practices and prejudice in our society. That's the end of iReady News at 1. If there's any story or event you would like iReady to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news at Arabic at 1:30. I was Zico De Andrew. Thank you for listening.